Over the past 6 years, I've made over 500 illustrations using my iPad, and I've been able to turn my art from this to this over that time. But I once started as a beginner self-taught artist who had no idea what I was doing, and I used to take hours just focusing on one detail and never finishing a piece until weeks later. This video is designed to help anyone who might be going through some of these similar struggles and to see if there's any way it can help you. It's honestly a very cloudy, cozy day. I have some coffee with me. I'm filming in a different room today because it is just so cozy today. It's a very lazy kind of day. So in this video, I'm gonna have my laptop in front of me, so I might be looking in front a little bit, but I'll be talking about things like traditional sketching, using references, developing your art style, art challenges, learning the art fundamentals, doing art studies, pulling inspirations from adjacent mediums, continuously improving, and just some final takeaways. And if you enjoyed this video, let me know what other questions about digital art that you have. I recently was at our storefront and there was someone who let me know that the brush video had really helped them, and so that was really reinforcing for me to hear. So if there's any other thing you're curious about, just let me know. So the first phase of my process was nailing down traditional sketching. I think there's a misconception that you need to start only on digital art and that you shouldn't be kind of like distracting yourself with other mediums. What I found instead is that illustration is just about capturing, reality in a way that makes sense to you. And to do this, there needs to be continuous practice of that sketching process. So I find that when you start with traditional sketching, it really can improve the way that you are able to capture anything, even on digital art or other mediums as well. What you could do is get a sketchbook and draw every single day in this first phase. In phase number 2, we're breaking the notion of referencing is copying. So early on, it's easy to fall into the mindset trap that, if you're not fully deriving every single thing that you're drawing from imagination, that makes you like not a real artist. But in reality, you can't really bend the rules without knowing them first. So using references is actually really essential to how you're creating pieces. Some good follow-up steps is to use a platform like Unsplash, which is copyright-free photography for use, to use this as a catalog to build together like your reference boards, essentially. Phase 3 is when you just don't know what your art style is and it prevents you from actually getting started. Do I use line work or no line work? Do I use these colors or these colors? I think what I found to be true was that in the end, your art style really follows you. And for me, what I did is I actually just integrated characters, which were the characters I created, Kato the cat, Pai the penguin, and Kuma the samoyed, and they ended up being the backbone of my art style as well. But in reality, if you really want to improve your art skills, there's a difference between building a brand and honing in and sharpening your art craft and skills, and I think that they should be treated with kind of separate entities, which can be challenging as an artist as you're trying to build your brand as well. But I would say don't be shy to, do what's right for your art to improve, even if it means that you're switching up the feed or you're, like improving your art skills essentially. A good follow-up item here would be for you to take together 5 of your top favorite artists' styles and put them in a giant, whiteboard and derive what are things that you liked from each of these artists that makes them your favorite art styles. And, your work is a remix of your role models, of the giants that stood before you. And, don't be shy to be honest with yourself when you really love the way someone does their colors, their lighting, etc. More power to you. It's important to create a remix of works that you enjoy and are inspired by. Phase 4 reaches a point where you're not sure how to improve your art style. You've made a few pieces here and there, but you're kind of plateauing in an interesting way, or you're taking a long time to complete your pieces. This is where I would highly recommend joining an art challenge. Back then, I joined Peachtober in 2020, and I did it for fun because I was just waiting for my next product to arrive for a sticker design, and it completely changed my art trajectory. It allows you to be consistent in, putting in the work every day and sharing that work, showing that work to the public, and being part of a larger kind of community that's also contributing to this art challenge. It also allows your brain to kind of like switch in a way where you're able to actually like make designs of art prompts that are just so random, right? Like the word lemon, what do you do for that? Or the word coffee, what do you do for that, right? And that's your artist interpretation, and that will also sharpen your artistic skills to work with future clients for commissions. Whenever you're given a prompt, you'll know how to interpret that in a way that's meaningful and creative. And the thing that it teaches you the most is that done is better than perfect. And there's a really classic cliche parable about a pottery class where there's group A, group B, 2 classes, and one class is told to make 1 pot in 30 days and the other one is told to make 30 pots in 30 days. The ones that did 30 pots in 30 days had a beautifully, significantly more well done, well versed, and just beautiful pot on day 30, as opposed to the class that spent 30 days on one. So this cliche parable is just to say that it's so much better to just get more reps in and to have a perfect workout, essentially. So the big takeaway here would be find an art challenge on Instagram and just try it. Commit to it for 30 days and just share what you got. So phase 5 for me after joining an art challenge was to then invest in reverse engineering my self-taught artistry. So I feel like with art, there's like an intuition-based side and there's a technical side. The technical side gives you the foundations, and the intuition side gives you the dynamic, style. It gives you like just the intuition to put down the right marks, the right colors. You don't know why it works, but you just feel like it works, right? And I feel like for self-taught artists, it's gonna be very intuition first. So what I did is I started to join Patreons, I started to watch, YouTube channels, I started to take Skillshare courses, and I think it can be very accessible. It doesn't have to be hundreds of dollars of a course. Skillshare, for example, is like under $20 per month. Patreon can be as low as 10 to 15 a month, even 5 a month, and just taking tutorials from artists that you admire. So key takeaway here would be to find an artist that you really enjoy, see if they have a Patreon with tutorials, or join Skillshare and just learn. There's also many free YouTube channels like Proco, or sometimes I love to watch splash artists that I really admire, like Espen Lash, and see how does their brain work. So investing in that and focusing on actually improving your art fundamentals is pivotal to changing your art improvement. The 6th phase here is then focus art studies. So you've learned and figured out what the range you're even supposed to focus on. And now it's about how do you actually continuously improve instead of just having the knowledge, right? Where does the practice come in? So I would say for here, instead of focusing on improving your art overall, right? It's almost impossible unless you have a focus study, right? Even when you're working out, you can't be I'm gonna make my whole body stronger. You can, but the split for workout ideally should be back and bicep, chest and tricep, shoulder and leg. So similarly with art, treat it that way, right? So line work and values, right? Colors and lighting, dynamic flow and anatomy, right? So splitting it in a way that makes sense for you, that will really give you an area to focus in. Just like working out, your journey on art is it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, and it's really about mind-body connection and about understanding where your curiosity lies and how you feel every time you make a piece, right? You shouldn't make things you hate, or don't make things just because you feel this is what you should be making. Art is an extension of you. Art is an extension of the way you see the world, and translating that to, how you want other people to perceive the world as well. And so it's really important to ask yourself every art study to be hey, this is what I want to learn today. And then after you do it, this is how I feel. This is what I learned. This is what I'm curious about next. You know, keeping like a digital or analog journal of this is like so helpful. It helped me like immensely. A takeaway here for doing art studies is to make creative briefs. I made a video about this a couple months ago, I think, and so you can check that out if you're curious on like how it's done, but it's essentially like a prompt page that can help you like really focus in on what you're focusing on. So you can say like today's goal is to like work on improving my line work, and then you have references of artists that you love their line work and you're just studying that, only studying that. This will help you improve just that one component, and when you experience that like improvement and that mindset shift, once you actually like analyze why an artist does something that you love, it's so like satisfying and mind-blowing to just experience that. All right, let's see what phase we're on now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So for phase 7, this is all about pulling inspiration from adjacent art mediums. So in this phase, for me, I think I am a little bit neurospicy. I feel like I have a lot of diverse interests, and my career has primarily been in like social media marketing, which entails a lot of videography, photography, creative direction, and I personally am just so interested in like singing and dancing, and I'm a cinephile. I love movies, you know, I played around with music production, like all these different aspects of my life just made me like a very multi-faceted interested person, and I think that's just normal as a creative, to be honest. So as much as I would say not to stray too much from like committing to the art journey, I would say don't feel guilty if you have other interests. They will almost always inspire different components of your main, you know, art medium. So for me, for example, watercolor illustrations had taken big influence in allowing me to put down like organic shapes that just felt right in my digital illustrations, because I had this subconscious of like doing so much watercolor on the side. Similarly, my photography and videography, cinematography side allowed me to really understand like how to frame the subject in a way that's like impactful. You know, what you place in the foreground can infer like a hidden thing, right? Versus like something that's very backlit could feel very like, you know, epic and dramatic. And so these things allowed me to like kind of reverse construct a really cinematic shot because of my knowledge in cinematography and videography and photography. And I'm still learning a lot. I'm not like a pro in any of these things, but I find that it is what will make you unique as an artist when those mediums can kind of carry over. One more example is how, like, I guess for me, for music, I'm a huge empath, which is why I think I like all these different things. And so music makes me feel like so much, and I really take it to heart in the best way possible. And I think that has enabled me to like be able to showcase those emotions as I'm listening to this song, creating this piece, or it inspires me to like make animations, short animations that can capture that feeling in a way that maybe a still illustration cannot. The takeaway here, I would say, would be to take part in other mediums, you know, photography, videography, pottery, dance, singing, cinema, like anything else that's in the visual or even audio arts, or even physical arts, right? Like polymer clay, etc. I think these are things that will all inform how you complete the final piece of your digital illustration. So embrace it. Oh God, it is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. I think in phase 8, it's all about continuous improvement. So you've reframed all of these kind of mind traps that previously held you back from just like doing the art. And now it's all about acknowledging the fact that it's a marathon, not a sprint. This will be something that you won't see the improvement in at least a few months. I think you can see significant improvement in your first few months, but I think in the grander scheme of things, you'll look back years from now and be like, wow, like I cannot believe this was my first piece. And so I think the takeaway here would be continuously doing art studies, continuously not boxing yourself in, and, follow what feels interesting and inspirational to you. Find other mediums that excite you and let that inform your work, and just document, right? So if you have an Instagram account, or you're just, you know, making blog posts about it, or you're just saving the work for yourself, whether you decide to share it publicly or not. Sorry, my cat. I think it's just really important to continuously improve, and keeping a journal of just like, this is what I worked on today, this is how I felt after I made it, and you know, it wasn't my favorite work, but I'm excited to learn more about blank, right? That continuous mindset will set you up for success for the long term. And it's really just like working out. You're racing against yourself at the end of the day, right? Everyone is there for their own reason. Everyone is making art for their own reason. Sorry, my cat is meowing. Everyone's there for their own reason. So just some final takeaways is that, honestly, at the end of the day, like, it's a lifelong learning journey. I honestly love and also don't love a lot of the pieces that I make, even if people say otherwise, and I think that's just totally natural. And I always have to balance like what fulfills me and what will fulfill like a market need, for example. And, you know, even with commission work, it's about like trying to find ways that you can feel comfortable monetizing your creativity in a way that you can still express yourself in other projects, but can still serve a client well, right? And art, at the end of the day, in this day and age, you know, it's the art and the business side, the craft and the business savvy self, right? So there's always a balance between these two, which I can cover in another video, but let me know if you found this interesting. These were, for me, the 8 phases that I kind of went through as an artist to turn my art from, you know, something that I was guessing at to something that I feel confident in. And I'm still learning, improving. I'm not perfect whatsoever. I am, you know, just always on this learning journey forever. So yeah, let me know if you found this interesting. I just wanted to just chat about it, and yeah, I will see you in the next video. Let me know what else you'd like to see. I'm gonna drink a little more coffee. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.